Ryan Sullivan gripped the steering wheel of his 13-year-old Honda Civic as it sputtered to a stop in the school parking lot, silently praying it wouldn't choose today to finally give up the ghost. Between the mortgage he could barely afford, the mountain of medical bills from his late wife's illness, and the everyday expenses of raising a 9-year-old daughter on a construction worker's salary that had become increasingly unpredictable in the economic downturn. Another car repair was the last thing he needed. "We're here, Lily," he announced with forced cheerfulness, turning to look at his daughter in the backseat. She was hunched over her sketchbook, pencil moving rapidly across the page. "Hey, Earth to Lily." Lily looked up, blinking as if returning from another world. "Sorry, Dad. I was finishing my drawing for Miss Rodriguez's art wall." Ryan smiled at his daughter, her dark hair so much like her mother's pulled back in a messy ponytail, her face serious as she carefully tucked the sketchbook into her backpack. Despite everything, Lily remained his ray of sunshine, resilient and kind in ways that sometimes took his breath away. "That's my little artist, ready for another day of fourth-grade brilliance." Lily rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her grin. "Dad, you say that every day." "Because it's true every day," he countered, climbing out and opening her door. "Don't forget, I'm volunteering in your class this afternoon for the science project. I'll see you at 1 o'clock. You won't be all dirty from work, will you?" she asked with the brutal honesty only children possess. Ryan ruffled her hair. "No, princess. The site's shut down today, inspection issues. That's why I can volunteer, remember?" He didn't mention that the shutdown meant another day without pay, another juggling act with the bills. "Cool, Tommy's mom never volunteers because she's always working." "She runs a big company or something," Lily said as they walked toward the school entrance. "Everyone does what they can," Ryan replied, bending down to hug her. "Have a great morning. Love you, Lil." "Love you too, Dad." He watched her skip up the steps, high-fiving friends as she went. At the entrance, she turned back to wave, and Ryan felt the familiar bittersweet ache in his chest. Lily deserved so much more than he could give her, but he was doing his absolute best. After losing Sarah to cancer 3 years ago, he'd promised himself that Lily would never lack for love, even if their budget was always tight. With 6 hours to kill before his volunteer shift, Ryan headed to the local coffee shop where he could get free refills and use their Wi-Fi to search for additional work. The construction company had been promising full-time hours again, soon, but soon had stretched from weeks into months. At noon, Ryan returned to his car and changed into a clean flannel shirt and his least worn jeans. He'd even trimmed his beard that morning, not that he was trying to impress anyone, but he didn't want to embarrass Lily. When he arrived at the classroom, Miss Rodriguez was directing a group of students who were arranging desks into clusters. "Mr. Sullivan, perfect timing," she called. "We're just setting up for the egg drop challenge." "Happy to help," Ryan said, sliding his lanyard visitor badge over his head. "What do you need me to do?" "You'll be supervising the blue table with Mrs. Ramirez, who should be here." She glanced at her watch. "Well, any minute. She's another parent volunteer." Ryan nodded and headed toward the blue-labeled table, where 4 students, including Lily, were already gathering supplies: popsicle sticks, straws, cotton balls, and other items for building cushioned containers for raw eggs. "Dad," Lily's face lit up. "You're at our table." "Wouldn't miss it," he said, high-fiving her. "So what's the plan, team?" As the children brainstormed egg protection strategies, the classroom door opened. Ryan glanced up and felt a sudden, unexpected catch in his breath. The woman who entered was striking tall and poised, with warm brown skin and curly black hair pulled back in a professional-looking twist. She wore a simple charcoal pencil skirt and cream blouse that somehow managed to look elegant despite their simplicity. Miss Rodriguez hurried over. "Mrs. Ramirez, thank you for coming," the woman smiled apologetically. "I'm so sorry I'm late. Conference call ran over." Her voice was rich and melodious. "And please, it's Miss Rhodes, Paige Rhodes." "Of course, Miss Rhodes, you're at the blue table with Mr. Sullivan." Ryan stood as she approached, suddenly aware of his worn jeans and flannel shirt. "Ryan Sullivan," he said, extending his hand. Her grip was firm, her smile genuine. "Paige Rhodes, nice to meet you. Miss Rhodes?" Tommy, a small boy with glasses too big for his face, bounced in his seat. "You made it. I promised I would, didn't I?" she said, ruffling his hair affectionately. "Sorry I'm late, buddy." Ryan noticed the family resemblance immediately, the same warm brown eyes, the same dimple when they smiled. "You're Tommy's mom," she nodded, "and you must be Lily's dad." Tommy talks about Lily all the time. Before Ryan could respond, the children demanded their attention, eager to start building their egg protection devices. For the next hour, Ryan and Paige worked side by side, helping the children test different designs. He found himself impressed by her patience and creativity, the way she guided without taking over, and her genuine delight in the children's ideas. He also couldn't help noticing her laugh, uninhibited and warm, or the way she occasionally tucked a stray curl behind her ear when concentrating. There was something refreshingly unpretentious about her, despite her obviously expensive watch and the subtle designer logo on her purse. When one of their team's eggs survived the drop from the second-floor window, the children erupted in cheers, and Ryan found himself exchanging a high five with Paige, their hands lingering perhaps a second longer than necessary. As the activity wound down and the children began cleaning up, Ryan helped collect the scattered materials. "You're good with kids," Paige remarked, gathering broken eggshells. Ryan shrugged. "Comes with the territory. It's been just me and Lily for 3 years now." Something in his tone must have conveyed the rest, because her expression softened with understanding. "I'm sorry, that must be challenging. Some days more than others," he admitted. "But we manage. How about you and Tommy?" "It's been just us since he was 2, she said. His father decided family life wasn't for him. Ryan nodded, recognizing the careful neutrality in her tone, the kind parents develop to discuss painful topics without transferring their hurt to their children. "Dad," Lily appeared at his side. "Can Tommy come over to play this weekend, please?" Ryan hesitated, glancing at Paige. Playdates at their modest home always made him self-conscious, especially with families he didn't know well. "That sounds fun," Paige said smoothly, saving him from an immediate answer. "But I'd need to check our schedule." "Why don't I give your dad my number, and we can figure out a good time?" She pulled a business card from her purse and handed it to Ryan. He glanced down and nearly did a double take at the embossed logo. Horizon Innovations, Paige Rhodes, Chief Executive Officer. He looked up, suddenly understanding her expensive accessories and the conference calls. Tommy's mom didn't just work for a big company, she ran one. Horizon Innovations was a major tech firm that had been in the news repeatedly for groundbreaking developments in renewable energy. Paige seemed to register his surprise with a small, almost apologetic smile. "My personal cell is on the back. For the playdate," she added. "Right," Ryan managed, tucking the card into his pocket. "I'll text you." As they left the classroom, the children running ahead down the hallway, Paige fell into step beside him. "For what it's worth, Tommy has been asking for weeks if he could play with Lily. She's apparently the only kid who doesn't make fun of his sciencey stuff, as he puts it." Ryan smiled. "Lily mentioned him too, said he was the smartest kid in class and drew really cool robots." They reached the school entrance, where the children were already comparing notes about their successful egg drop. "I should get going," Paige said, checking her watch. "I have another meeting at 4. "Of course," Ryan said. "I'll text you about that playdate," she nodded, touching his arm lightly. "Please do. It was nice meeting you, Ryan." As he watched her walk toward a sleek black Tesla in the parking lot, Tommy skipping alongside her, Ryan felt a mixture of conflicting emotions. She was undeniably attractive and surprisingly easy to talk to, but also so far out of his league that it seemed absurd to even think about it. A CEO and a construction worker with inconsistent employment. It sounded like the setup for a bad joke. "Dad, Earth to Dad." Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. "Sorry, Lil. Ready to go home." That night, after Lily was asleep, Ryan sat at their small kitchen table staring at Paige's business card. The sensible thing would be to arrange one playdate to make the kids happy and leave it at that. Getting involved with a woman like Paige Rhodes, even if she were interested, which seemed unlikely, would only lead to complications. Still, he found himself typing out a text. "Hi Paige, it's Ryan Sullivan from school today. Just checking about that playdate for the kids. Lily is free Saturday afternoon if that works for you and Tommy. To his surprise, a response came almost immediately. Hi Ryan, Saturday works perfectly. Tommy hasn't stopped talking about the egg drop success. Would 2 p.m. work? And where would be best? Ryan hesitated. His small house with its second-hand furniture and patched roof was a source of both pride and insecurity. He'd fixed it up as best he could on a tight budget, but it was a far cry from what he imagined was Paige's home. Before he could overthink it, he typed, 2 p.m. is great. Our place is small but has a decent backyard if the weather's good. Kids can build a fort or something. Her reply came quickly. Sounds perfect. Tommy loves building forts. Text me your address and we'll see you Saturday. Looking forward to it, Ryan put down his phone, smiling despite himself. Maybe this playdate wouldn't be so awkward after all. Saturday arrived with perfect early autumn weather, warm sunshine, and a gentle breeze that rustled the changing leaves. Ryan spent the morning frantically cleaning the house and yard, while Lily bounced around with excitement about having a friend over. At precisely 2 p.m., a sleek black Tesla pulled up in front of the house. Ryan watched through the window as Paige emerged wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater, looking somehow both casual and elegant. Tommy scrambled out of the car clutching what appeared to be a robotics kit. Lily raced to the door before Ryan could get there, throwing it open with an enthusiastic, "Hi, Tommy. Hi, Tommy's mom. Hi, Lily." Tommy grinned, pushing his glasses up his nose. I brought my new robot kit. Dad sent it from Japan. Ryan appeared behind his daughter. Welcome to our home, he said, suddenly acutely aware of the worn welcome mat and the spot on the porch railing where the paint was peeling. But Paige's smile was warm and genuine as she stepped inside. Thanks for having us. Your home is lovely. Ryan gave a self-deprecating laugh. It's a work in progress. The kitchen renovation consists of me watching YouTube videos and hoping for the best. You're renovating yourself. That's impressive, she said, and he couldn't detect any condescension in her tone. Construction worker by trade, he explained, leading them into the living room. Though work's been a bit spotty lately. Dad can build anything, Lily declared proudly. He made my bookshelf and my desk and fixed our roof when it leaked. Is that right? Paige looked genuinely interested. Self-sufficiency is a rare skill these days. Before Ryan could respond, Tommy was tugging at Lily's sleeve. Can we build the robot in your room? Sure. Dad, can we use the tools in the garage for our robot? Ryan ruffled her hair. How about you start with what Tommy brought, and if you need anything specific, you ask first. As the children disappeared down the hallway, an awkward silence fell. Ryan cleared his throat. Coffee, or I have some iced tea. Iced tea would be perfect, Paige said, following him to the kitchen. Ryan poured 2 glasses, and they settled at the small kitchen table. Through the window, they could see the backyard with its modest wooden playset that Ryan had built the previous summer. You really did build everything around here, didn't you? Paige said, noting the handcrafted cabinets and the countertop that was obviously in mid-renovation. Ryan shrugged. Necessity more than anything. It's cheaper to do it myself, even if it takes longer. It's impressive, she said simply. My idea of home improvement is changing a light bulb. He laughed. I find it hard to believe there's anything you can't do if you set your mind to it, she smiled, a hint of something vulnerable crossing her face. There's plenty, trust me. I may run a company, but I still burn microwave popcorn and forget school permission slips. The conversation flowed more easily than Ryan had expected. Paige asked thoughtful questions about his work and listened attentively to his answers. He found himself opening up about the challenges of the past few years, the construction industry's ups and downs, the struggle to be both mom and dad to Lily, the constant financial juggling act. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, he said eventually, realizing he'd been monopolizing the conversation. Paige shook her head. Not at all. It's refreshing, actually. Most people I talk to are either trying to impress me or get something from me. She took a sip of her tea. But what about you? Any dreams beyond the next renovation project? Ryan hesitated. I've been playing with an idea for custom eco-friendly playset structures that blend into natural settings, use sustainable materials. Nothing fancy, just sketches really. That sounds fascinating, Paige said, leaning forward. There's a huge market for environmentally conscious children's products right now. Maybe someday, Ryan said with a shrug. For now, keeping the lights on is the priority. A comfortable silence fell between them, broken by the sound of children's laughter from down the hall. They seem to be getting along, Paige observed with a smile. Lily doesn't make friends easily, Ryan admitted. She's a bit serious for her age, lost her mom when she was 6. Paige's expression softened. I'm sorry, that must have been incredibly difficult for both of you. We take it one day at a time, he said. What about Tommy? He seems like a great kid. He is, Paige said, pride evident in her voice. Too smart for his own good sometimes. His father lives in Tokyo now by choice. He sends expensive gifts, but can't manage to make it to school events or birthdays. Ryan heard the carefully controlled hurt in her voice. His loss, he said simply. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, mutual recognition of the challenges of single parenthood, of putting children first, of navigating loss and disappointment. The moment was broken by the children bursting into the kitchen, Tommy proudly holding a contraption made of plastic pieces and what looked like parts from Ryan's junk drawer. Dad, Miss Rhodes, look what we built. The rest of the afternoon passed pleasantly, with the children eventually moving to the backyard, where Ryan helped them build a fort using an old tarp and some lumber scraps. Paige joined in, following Ryan's instructions with good-natured humor despite her admitted lack of construction skills. When it was time for Paige and Tommy to leave, the children extracted promises from their parents for another playdate soon. This was fun, Paige said as they stood by her car. Thank you for hosting us. Thanks for coming, Ryan replied. Lily had a blast. Paige hesitated, then said, I don't suppose you'd be interested in grabbing coffee sometime, just the two of us. She smiled self-consciously. That sounded more confident in my head, Ryan blinked in surprise. I'd like that, he said before he could overthink it. Very much. Her smile widened. Great, I'll text you. As the Tesla pulled away, Lily tugged at his hand. Dad, I really like Tommy, and I think his mom likes you. Ryan looked down at his daughter, surprised by her perception. You think so, huh? Lily nodded solemnly. She laughs at all your jokes, even the really bad ones. That means she likes you. Ryan chuckled, leading her back inside. Well, we'll see, kiddo, we'll see. The coffee date turned into dinner the following week, with Ryan initially suggesting a casual diner that fit his budget, but Paige offering to cook at her place after the kids were asleep. Tommy will be with his grandparents, and I promise I'm a decent cook, despite what I said about microwave popcorn, she texted. Ryan arrived at her address, a renovated historic home in one of the city's more affluent neighborhoods, feeling decidedly out of place in his best jeans and button-down shirt. He'd splurged on a bottle of wine that had strained his budget, but seemed appropriate for the occasion. Paige greeted him warmly, dressed simply in slacks and a soft sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. Her home was elegant but comfortable, high ceilings and original woodwork, balanced by cozy furniture and children's artwork prominently displayed. This is beautiful, Ryan said, taking in the space. It's a bit much for just the two of us, Paige admitted, leading him to the kitchen where delicious aromas filled the air. But it was my grandmother's, and I couldn't bear to sell it when she passed. Over a simple but excellent meal of roast chicken and vegetables, they talked more freely without the children present. Ryan learned that Paige had started Horizon Innovations in her garage 10 years earlier, developing a more efficient solar panel design that had revolutionized the industry. She spoke with passion about renewable energy and making it accessible to everyone. That's why I was so interested in your eco-friendly playsets, she said. Sustainability doesn't have to be a luxury item. Ryan found himself opening up about his own dreams, not just the playsets, but his hope to eventually start a small construction company focused on affordable, energy-efficient housing renovations. The skills are out there, he explained. So many guys I work with could do amazing things if given the chance, but capital is always the issue. Paige listened thoughtfully, occasionally asking insightful questions that showed genuine interest, As the evening progressed, Ryan felt increasingly at ease. Despite their different circumstances, he found in Paige someone who understood the demands of single parenthood, the balancing act of work and family, and the desire to create something meaningful. When he helped her clear the dishes, their hands brushed, and the spark between them was undeniable. As they stood close together at the sink, Ryan took a chance and leaned in slightly. Paige met him halfway, their lips meeting in a soft, tentative kiss that quickly deepened. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "I've been wanting to do that since the egg drop challenge," Paige admitted. Ryan laughed. "Even with egg on my shirt, especially with egg on your shirt," she teased. It showed dedication. Their relationship developed slowly over the following weeks with careful consideration for their children's feelings. They arranged joint family outings, picnics, museum visits, a local fall festival, and the children's friendship blossomed alongside the adults' growing connection. But Ryan couldn't shake his awareness of the disparity between their lives. When Paige casually mentioned a business trip to Europe, or when he had to decline an invitation to a charity gala because he couldn't afford appropriate attire, the differences seemed insurmountable. The breaking point came when Ryan's car finally gave up the ghost, leaving him stranded on the side of the road after dropping Lily at school. Without thinking, he called Paige, who immediately sent her company's car service to pick him up. "I can't keep accepting help like this," he told her that evening as they sat on her porch swing. "I need to stand on my own 2 feet, Paige frowned. "It was just a ride, Ryan." "It's more than that," he said, struggling to articulate his feelings. "I can't contribute equally to this relationship. You pay for most of our outings, you live in this beautiful home, you never have to check your bank account before buying groceries." "Is that what you think this is about?" Paige asked, her voice quiet but intense. "Some kind of economic exchange?" Ryan ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "No, but there's an imbalance here that I can't ignore. I don't want to be a charity case." Paige was silent for a long moment. "Do you know why I was late to the volunteer session that day we met?" she finally asked. Ryan shook his head. "I was on a call with our board, defending my decision to remain a hands-on parent despite being CEO. They think I should delegate more parenting responsibilities to focus on the company." She turned to face him fully. "I volunteer at Tommy's school because I refuse to be the absent parent his father is, no matter what it costs my career." She took his hand. "What I admire most about you, Ryan, isn't your carpentry skills or how hard you work, though those things are impressive. It's how completely you show up for Lily, how you've created a loving home despite difficult circumstances, how you never compromise on being her dad." "That's just being a parent," Ryan said. "Exactly," Paige replied. "And it's rarer than you think, especially among people in my social circle. Do you know how many CEO parents I know who have missed their children's birthdays for business meetings? Who see their kids primarily through the lens of a FaceTime call?" She squeezed his hand. "Money makes many things easier, but it doesn't make you a better parent or partner. Those qualities come from somewhere else entirely." Ryan was silent, absorbing her words. "If money is the only barrier you see between us," Paige continued, "then it's the least significant one possible. I've dated wealthy men who couldn't understand why I'd want to attend a school science fair instead of a networking event. I'll take a man who builds forts in the backyard with our kids any day." "Our kids?" Ryan raised an eyebrow, a small smile playing at his lips. Paige blushed slightly. "Figure of speech, though Tommy already asked if you could be his new dad." Ryan's heart skipped a beat. "He did," she nodded. "He said you explain things better than his real dad and you never check your phone when he's talking." Ryan thought about that, about the way Tommy's face lit up when they worked on projects together, about how naturally the 4 of them had fallen into a rhythm on their outings. "I've been an idiot, haven't I?" he finally said. Paige leaned against him. "Not an idiot, just proud." "Which I understand." She paused. "But maybe we could find a middle ground." "What did you have in mind?" 2 weeks later, Ryan found himself in Paige's office at Horizon Innovations, presenting his eco-friendly playset designs to her company's new community initiatives team. To his surprise, they were genuinely enthusiastic. asking thoughtful questions and making suggestions for materials and manufacturing processes. "We'd like to fund a pilot program," the team leader announced at the end of the meeting. 5 playsets installed in community centers across the city, with you as the lead designer and builder. "If they're well received, we'd consider a larger rollout." Ryan was stunned. "This isn't because of Paige, is it? Because I don't want," the team leader laughed. "Miss Rhodes recused herself from the decision-making process entirely. "These designs earned their spot on merit. We've been looking for exactly this kind of sustainable community project." As Ryan left the office, still processing the opportunity, he found Paige waiting in the lobby. "How did it go?" she asked, maintaining a professional distance in front of her employees. "They liked it," he said, still somewhat in shock. "They actually liked it." Her smile was radiant. "Of course they did. Your designs are brilliant." "I can't believe this is happening," he admitted as they walked to her car. "Believe it," she said. "You're talented, Ryan. All you needed was the right platform." 6 months later, Ryan stood in the newly completed community center playground, watching children swarm over his creation, a natural wood playset that incorporated living plants, recycled materials, and renewable energy features like small solar panels that powered gentle lights for evening play. Beside him stood Paige, Tommy, and Lily, all beaming with pride. "Dad, it's the coolest playground ever," Lily declared, bouncing on her toes. "It really is, Ryan," Paige agreed, slipping her hand into his. "And just the beginning." The pilot program had been so successful that Horizon was establishing a new division focused on sustainable community spaces, with Ryan heading the design team. He'd hired several of his former construction colleagues, giving them stable employment and the chance to use their skills for meaningful projects. "I have something for you," Paige said, handing him a small box. Inside was a key. "What's this?" he asked. "A key to our home," she said simply. "If you're ready." Ryan looked from the key to Paige, to the children now playing on his creation, to the community members enjoying the space he'd helped design. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly. "This is a big step." "I've never been more sure of anything," Paige replied. "We've been practically living at each other's houses anyway, and the kids are constantly asking when we're going to be a real family. Unless you think it's too soon." Ryan pulled her close. "It's not too soon. It's perfect timing." He kissed her softly, then whispered, "I love you, Paige." "I love you too," she whispered back. "All of this my work, my success, it means nothing without someone to share it with. Someone who sees me, not my title or bank account." "And all of this," Ryan gestured to the playground and the opportunities that had opened up for him, "wouldn't have happened if I hadn't volunteered that day at school." "So we're both lucky," Paige said, leaning against his shoulder as they watched their children play. "The luckiest," Ryan agreed, his arm tightening around her waist. 1 year later, they married in a simple ceremony in the backyard of what was now their shared home. Lily and Tommy stood beside them as they exchanged vows, the 4 of them formally becoming the family they had already become in their hearts. Ryan's eco-friendly community spaces initiative had expanded to 3 states, providing employment for dozens of skilled workers and creating beautiful, sustainable play areas for children who might otherwise have had nowhere safe to play. Paige continued as CEO of Horizon, but with a renewed commitment to work-life balance that had actually improved the company's productivity and employee retention. Their home, Paige's grandmother's historic house, had been renovated by Ryan to incorporate sustainable features while preserving its character. The backyard now featured one of Ryan's custom playsets, complete with a treehouse where Lily and Tommy spent hours reading and inventing. "Did you ever imagine this?" Paige asked as they swayed together during their first dance as husband and wife. "That day in the classroom with the eggs." Ryan smiled, thinking back to the struggling single dad he'd been, barely keeping his head above water, never imagining he'd find love again, let alone with someone like Paige. "I couldn't have dreamed it," he admitted, "but now I can't imagine any other life." As the party continued around them, Ryan caught sight of their children sitting on the playset he'd built, heads bent together over some new invention or story. Paige followed his gaze, and they shared a smile of contentment and wonder at the family they had created not through wealth or status, but through love, respect, and the courage to look beyond surface differences to the values they shared at heart. So what's next for us? Paige asked, her head against his shoulder. Ryan kissed her forehead. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. That's all that matters. And in that moment, surrounded by friends and family, with their children's laughter floating through the air, Ryan knew it was true. They had built something more valuable than any business or building a family founded on love, resilience, and the understanding that true wealth had nothing to do with money at all.